Young ladies and gentlemen, hello everyone, or good evening. Welcome to this new conference, Geopolitics, dedicated to current events global. So it's making headlines, international disinformation from last minute that we have just receiving. We ask ourselves many questions. Questions about this, by the way. You know that the special envoy of Donald Trump for peacekeeping in Ukraine, this gentleman who is called Steve Witkoff, is expected to surrender today in Turkey in order to be able to exchange with Vladimir Zelensky via report on the negotiations on the agreement of peace. You know very well that Zelensky has expressed his intention to want to go to Turkey, meet Tayyip Erdogan reception in order to be able to find a plot of land agreement to start the discussions, peace to negotiate peace in Ukraine so that peace may come permanently in Ukraine. Vladimir Zelensky chose Turkey because he knows very well that Turkey is a field really favorable because Turkey has already hosted such mediations. Then Turkey is that country which is capable of speaking at the same time to Washington and even in Moscow and Beijing. So at the time we are in to speak, Zelensky has already arrived in Turkey today, Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. And so Steve Witkoff should also be present, but we have learned that since last night he reportedly cancelled his meeting with Aiko Dada, with Vladimir Zelensky. We don't know. Afterwards, there were negotiations for that. He can actually present himself, but he cancelled his meeting with Zelensky. So, what is the real heart of the matter? What's the problem? Why did he cancel his a meeting? The reason was beyond me. It has overwhelmed me. And I wonder if it's really totally the real reason, even if officially it might be tenable, but that's not too much. It's ridiculous at do. The reason given is that Mr. Steve Witkoff, according to information, did not know that Zelensky was embroiled in a scandal corruption, whether it's Zelensky or his around him. He didn't know that these people were embroiled in a scandal corruption. So, given all that, he was informed breaking news according to information consistent. He therefore decided to cancel his meeting with Zelensky. So, let's be clear that this corruption case, before to continue viewing this, I'm asking you to share this video with the maximum. It must be shared in all the groups. Share as much as you can. You can. Yes. So, first of all, it must be said that this corruption case has triggered for several weeks now Ukraine. He's a close friend of Volodymyr Zelensky. A close friend of Volodymyr Zelensky was cited in a corruption case in the energy sector. That is to say, the money that the Westerners are sending to Ukraine for to be able to finance electricity, energy, since to this day, Russia destroyed everything that was energy infrastructure, money that we send, and they put that in their poached, and they are supported by Zelensky, but Zelensky pretends to fight the corruption. So, just recently, in fact, we saw Germany come out, the German chancellor who came out, who acted as if he were giving an order, moreover, to Zelensky, saying to Zelensky that he will have to redouble efforts in the fight against corruption. He must fight against energetic way. These are the words that he used. However, this German chancellor pronounces his words at a time when Zelensky had already taken a harsh decision, sanctioned his friend close, freezing of the latter's assets, and then other sanctions really severe. Now, the German chancellor steps out to say he must fight energetically against corruption. Now, the gentleman is already struggling. It's already proof that the West is tired of the corrupt life in which Ukraine is living and dying. The representative of Donald Trump, who should go negotiate with him, it is also said that this is it. They say that he learned that Zelensky is involved in a corruption case. Therefore, he cannot go as if the Americans did not know that Zelensky was in a state of total corruption. This is one of the reasons why the US Congress said that it is not necessary no longer funding Ukraine. They knew it very well, and it was in with full knowledge of the facts that they have decided that Donald Trump decided that his special correspondent goes to see Vladimir Zelensky in Turkey. But why this sudden change? This is the question we are asking ourselves. But It must be pointed out, I'm telling you, note that this change is sudden. Something happened. And what happened? She's the spokesperson for the Russian diplomat, Maria Zakharova, who is an outing that broke the silence and that carried an accusing hand to all European leaders, all the Western leaders. She accused them for having maintained silence, a guilty silence. Faced with the scandal of corruption in which Volodymyr Zelensky happened to be immersed but severely. So Maria Zakharova accused them. Is this to show a good in the eyes of the world that America decides to pretend to back away? Because under these conditions, leaving meeting Vladimir Zelensky is as if America supported the corruption in Hanse. Who saw himself in Ukraine and which is adorned by Volodymyr Zelensky. It should be remembered that Zelensky had removed the institution that dealt with corruption cases on the side of Ukraine. This prosecutor had been dismissed. He had attached this institution to let's say, to his presidential office. So in relation to that, Russia accuses the West, particularly Washington, to have said nothing about it. And here time passes and then the negotiation situation is there. If America oversteps the mark without a word and to go and collaborate with Zelensky within the framework of the negotiation, we will say that they are the supports the corruption that Zelensky exercises. But also refuse to meet Zelensky would mean that America is giving up on his ambitions to put an end conflict. America refuses to support Ukraine in the logic of wanting to put an end to the conflict, since Donald Trump has always wanted the end of conflict. Zelensky has always remained on his firm position. We have Vladimir Putin too, who has always remained on his firm stance. Finally, if Zelensky decides to take the first step, America would still need encourages this first step. So here it is, the situation. In any case, what remains clear for the moment, I realize that nothing has been said yet at the conference. Has he come back? He reconsidered his position and left in Turkey to meet Zelensky? I don't know, but so far, until the time I am realizing the video conference, his meeting was cancelled. And if this meeting remains definitively cancelled with Zelensky, everything suggests that the step towards peace, the path towards peace, will be a very long time coming. So ladies, young ladies and gentlemen, that was the headline news. Thank you to share it and I'll get back to you soon. The Hour with New News.